The 2025-26 OHL season is almost here, and this season I wanted to do season preview videos for all 20 teams in the Ontario Hockey League as we get set for this upcoming regular season. Now, I'm doing this in no particular order and doing about 5 videos a week, so this will get us into the month of September when the preseason schedule is in full swing as that gets underway on August 29th. So let's dive right into it. We're going to start off with the Flint Firebirds. The Firebirds, they've been having some issues over these last few years. When you look back at the previous 3 seasons, starting off with the 2022-23 campaign, they ended up with a record of 35-28, 4-1, good for 75 points. And in that season, they ended up being knocked out in the first round by the Saginaw Spirit in 7 games. It was the first time the two teams had met in the postseason after the Whalers relocated to Flint. And then in 23-24, fewer wins, 30-33, 4-1 was the record for 65 points. So a dip in the standings in the Western Conference and meant a first-round exit to the London Knights in 4 straight. And in this last season, the Flint Firebirds had a record of 29-34, 2-3, 63 points, and another round 1 exit, this time at the hands of the Kitchener Rangers in 5 games. So when you look at their recent history, the Flint Firebirds, their point totals have been dropping and have yet to get out of the first round of the playoffs over the last 3 seasons. Looking at the stats for last season, the Flint Firebirds averaged 3.36 goals per game and 3.66 goals against per game. So defensively, giving up more goals than what they were able to score on a per-game basis. Their specialty teams also had some difficulties last season, particularly their power play. 14% was their success rate, which was 18th overall in the Ontario Hockey League, while their penalty kill, a little better, operating at 76%, which was ranked 12th overall in the Ontario Hockey League. Last year, their leading scorer was Sam McHugh, who they acquired at the OHL trade deadline from the Owen Sound Attack. He ended the season with 36 goals, 19 assists, 55 points. Second in scoring was Caden Petrie, 22 goals, 31 assists for 53 points, while Christopher Thibodeau, 22 goals, 28 assists, 50 points for third in scoring. Nathan Aspinall, he was fourth in scoring, 17 goals, 30 assists, 47 points. And rounding up the top 5 in scoring was Matthew Mania, the defenseman, 7 goals, 39 assists for 46 points. And when you look at the top 5, you already have to replace the scoring of Sam McHugh, who was traded during the offseason. Matthew Mania, with those 39 assists, he's gone off to the NCAA. So you're already seeing some areas where Flint really needs to fill that void if they're going to be a competitive team in the Western Conference, which is already looking like it's going to be quite the battle to get out of the Western Conference playoff picture, much like it was in the East, where we saw 7 teams adding at the OHL trade deadline. Could we see that here in the Western Conference? And if that's the case, are the Flint Firebirds a team that's maybe better off selling at the OHL trade deadline and looking to the future, especially when you look at their draft capital? We'll get there in just a moment. Their goaltending, Nathan Day, he led the charge in net. 26, 25, 2-3 was his record. 894 save percentage. He was kind of underrated at the OHL level. He was signed during the offseason by the Edmonton Oilers to his NHL entry-level contract after he flourished, moving on to the pro ranks. And then Noah Bender, he was the backup goaltender for the Flint Firebirds last season. 3-9 was his record, 833 save percentage after he was acquired from the Oshawa Generals at the beginning of last season. And that was the thing with the Flint Firebirds going into last year. They were one of the busier teams during the offseason with a lot of additions, and it seemed as though on paper this Flint Firebirds team was looking to challenge for top spot in the West Division. We know based on last year's results that was not the case. It just seemed as though this team not able to find their rhythm during the regular season. It left you wanting more as the season progressed. So with that in mind, this offseason has been a lot quieter when it comes to Firebird standards. Only one addition through trades. They picked up Mason Vicari, the overage goaltender from the Kingston Frontenacs, which will bring some stability. But then on the players that they've lost, they've traded Sam McHugh to the Brantford Bulldogs. That was a huge splash once the trade window opened during the month of June. Also getting several key draft picks in that deal. So Flint doing pretty good with getting some assets in return for Sam McHugh. Meanwhile, like I mentioned, Matthew Mania, he has committed to Michigan for the NCAA, and Nathan Day signing with the Edmonton Oilers. He'll likely play ECHL or AHL next year. So there goes your top goaltender, one of your top defensemen, and your top scorer from last year. So uh, it's quite a bit to replace for this Flint Firebirds team going into next year. They have signed their first round draft pick, Charlie Murata. So we'll see what he can do with this Flint Firebirds team. See if he'll be able to join the top six or if he'll be maybe bottom six to start the regular season. Time will tell. But they've also signed third round pick Mason Corville, for free agent George Kamidowski, and recently have signed Luke Graziano, the former third round pick of the Flint Firebirds. So this team looking maybe like a team that wants to build from within, build up your own prospects, and maybe see what this team can do during the course of the year. They do have quite an impressive draft cupboard going into this regular season. They have 3 second-round picks in 2026. None of them are their own. They belong to Sault Ste. Marie, Peterborough, and Brampton. They also have 3 second-round picks, 2 in the 4th round, and 2 in the 5th round. So for the Flint Firebirds, say they get off to a really good start, this team could then maybe add a few more pieces to insulate the core of this team. So this is a team that, not bringing back a lot of their top players from last year, but they could add. And we've seen that in the past with the Flint Firebirds team. This team not afraid to make trades during the course of the regular season or at the OHL trade deadline. But just seeing their past results, is this team maybe better off holding off, seeing what this team is capable of up until the OHL trade deadline? Because yes, 2026, they have plenty of draft picks. But then when you look at 2027 and 2028, they do not have a second round pick. So if they're going to acquire, it'll likely be one of those second round picks from 2026 or even their second round pick in 2029 if they're going to add. But my prediction, I'm seeing them as maybe a team that's going to fall somewhere between 7th and 10th. They'll be one of those teams fighting for a playoff spot in the Western Conference when it's all said and done. And if you haven't noticed on the channel, I have put up polls for all 20 teams where you can have a say as to where you think these teams will place at the end of the regular season. And looking at the channel vote when it comes to the Flint Firebirds, 0% expect this team to finish either first through third in the Western Conference standings. 50% say the team will finish between 4th and 6th, and 50% saying between 7th and 10th. So a split there for the lower half of the Western Conference standings, according to the channel vote. But my vote would probably go somewhere between 7th and 10th. Although this team could add, like I said, they've got some great draft capital. But losing Sam McHugh, that's going to hurt with their overage situation. But I do like how they've added, their first round pick, and then of course the free agent signings and whatnot. So the Firebirds, a very interesting team. They could do a lot going into this regular season, but at the time of recording, I don't know if you'd see them going anywhere higher than 7th when it comes to the end of the 25-26 regular season. But you have to play the games and see how everything transpires. But for the Flint Firebirds, a team that maybe not challenging for top spot in the West Division, but could make things interesting, especially in that battle for the final playoff spots in the Western Conference standings. So that's how I see it from the booth when it comes to the Flint Firebirds 2025 season preview. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts on this team going into next season. Do you think they could maybe exceed expectations, or do you think, like our channel vote, they're going to fall somewhere probably in the bottom half of the Western Conference standings? So again, thank you very much for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and cast your vote on any of the teams from around the Ontario Hockey League. Where do you think they're going to stand at the end of the 25-26 season? You can find that on the channel under the portal in the polls section. And love to see the interaction. So again, thank you very much, and we will talk to you again soon.